Hey, it's Vas here from Aussie RC Playground, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. Here I have the ARRMA 6S Typhon, here I have the ARRMA 3S Typhon, and we're going to be comparing them side by side. If you've been following the channel for a little while, you know that I've recently unboxed this car. I'm yet to run it though, but I have ran the 3S Senton that you see behind me. So I have a little bit of an idea of what to expect out of this car. But of course, because this has been recently announced or released, I think it's still not available to the public as of the time of filming. A lot of people seem to be a little bit confused as to why there is one and the other. Some people think that this one is going to substitute this one and that ARRMA is going to delete this. Other people will think that this has come out in the wrong format. It should have been more of a 10 scale buggy, not a 1/8 scale. So I kind of want to do a bit of a quickish sort of video showing you both of these side by side. We're going to compare weight, we're going to compare sizes, we're going to talk about them a little bit. It's not a review. Please note that this is not a review. This is simply a size comparison and just giving you my opinion on both cars. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this because I know that some people have been eagerly awaiting this video, as I did a video on my Facebook page recently with both of these cars, although it was a live feed. And then I kind of posted a photo here on YouTube on the community tabs page, and some people said, hey, you know, why don't you bring that video to YouTube so I can see it, because I don't have Facebook and so forth. So here we are. Right, let's start with the weight on both of these cars. We'll start with the 6S Typhon because that is the older, bigger brother, and of course that's been around for the longest. So for those of you who have always been curious about how much this car weighs, stock out of the box with no modifications, no batteries inside, this guy comes in weighing at 3,446 grams roughly. That's what this guy weighs, so he's just shy of 3.5 kilograms. I don't know what that translates to in pounds or stone or what other form of weighing formulas you use out there in your corner of the globe. So you might need to do some conversions. I'm not going to do it for you this time around because I think there's going to be a lot of people that try to see this thing differently and use different formulas for this. Anyway, the 3S Typhon comes in at a very nice 2,615 grams, somewhere around there. So there's 800 grams and change between these two cars. So that's a significant difference. And I think that's why this one can be, you know, 50 miles an hour running a 10 scale system because it's carrying around almost a kilo less. So that is a significant difference in weight. Now, can you imagine, and I know a lot of people are going to be doing this, and some people have already done it, they will put the BLX 185 system into this car, which I believe can fit, even if you have to modify a few things, but there is enough room there for the motor to actually fit in this. This thing will be absolutely ballistic. The battery tray can hold quite a large battery as well, so I can see a lot of people turning these things into speed cars in the near future as well, just like they did the original Typhon that you see here. Couple of things to note is that you can't swap bodies on this. So if you really like the blue body and you want to get the cheaper car and then maybe get the blue body on top, it's not going to really fit unless you heavily modify the body. These bodies, although they look very similar, they are quite different. The blue body is actually quite wider, probably about 20 mil wider or so. So there is a big difference there. It also doesn't taper up as high. I think this has a bigger dip down the back here. This one sits marginally flatter, and then when you put them on the ground, this one actually sits a little bit higher as well. This uses 2 body posts on the back and 2 at the front. This uses 1 at the front and 2 at the back, and the 2 at the back do not match these 2 at the back on this car, so you can't really swap them. This obviously won't fit the blue body or the 6S Typhon, but the blue bodied one potentially could fit here if you modify it and hack it up, and you can live with the fact that you have to drill extra holes to put the body on and everything. So if you're really keen on it, maybe do that. Otherwise, wait until ARRMA release a clear body one of these and you can paint it whatever color you want. That would be what I would be doing rather than trying to play swapsies here. It's not really going to work very well. Wheels and tires, of course, are interchangeable. So this is running 17mm hubs, as is the 6S Typhon. So you can swap around. I did ask ARRMA, you know, if these tires could potentially hold up to 6S, the ones that are on the 3S Typhon, and apparently they can. So if you really don't like, you know, if you've gotten tired of the wheels and tires that come on the stock 6S Typhon, you can then, you know, keep a lookout for when these become available as a spare item. and away you go. You can buy those for yourself. Of course, you've got plastic body shocks on this one, big bore aluminium proper 1/8 scale shocks on this one. This has a slightly larger bumper on the front of the 3S Typhon. The 6S Typhon has only got a very tiny little bumper there. But of course, there are bumpers available for cars like the Creighton and the Senton, I believe as well, from T-Bone Racing and so forth. So if you really want to beef the front end of this up for bashing, you can do that if that's what you want to do. Spoilers. I haven't tried swapping the spoilers around. I don't know if people would really want to do that. I haven't really checked to see if that will work, but they are different. The spoilers between the two cars are quite different. So if you want to swap the two, I don't know if that's going to work out for you or not. You've got the camber links and toe links, which are definitely different between the two cars. This uses the pillow ball or pivot ball style suspension at the front, while this one uses a standard steering knuckle, kind of almost like a caster block on here as well. So a little bit different. And of course the links and everything else are different length and they're different thicknesses and so forth. You've got an all plastic chassis with the 3S Typhon. You've got an old metal chassis, or 3mm aluminium chassis with the 6S Typhon. And of course, all of these beefier components on the 6S translate to the extra grams that it's carrying around, whilst the 3S Typhon remains fairly lightweight. And that's really the main comparisons between the two as far as all the components and everything. Now, size-wise, wheel nut to wheel nut, if you put these two side by side, they are exactly the same size. Bearing in mind that the 3S Typhon has the exact same chassis that the 3S Senton that you see back here has. Because for those of you who don't know, standard 10 scale short course trucks have the same wheelbase as a 1/8 scale buggy. So a lot of the times you will be able to get, theoretically, you could get a 1/10 scale short course truck, convert that to 17mm hubs so that you can put your 1/8 scale buggy wheels on it, find a way to attach a spoiler and put a 1/8 scale buggy body on it, and away you go. You have yourself a 1/8 scale buggy running 1/10 scale electrics, because they are technically the same size. Now, width-wise, that may vary a little bit depending on the truck, but between these two, width-wise, they're exactly the same. I think the 3S Typhon is marginally wider, but that may be contributed towards the toe angle and so forth that these cars come set up with out of the box. I really don't see a huge difference in width. If there is, it'll be minute. It'll just be a couple of millimeters, and that would really be about it, I think, as far as that. And that's pretty much all you really need to know. They have about the same ground clearance. There's really not a huge difference in ground clearance between the two. As I said, the biggest difference here is probably going to be the weight. And of course, you've got the 6S Typhon, which is capable of 60 miles an hour out of the box with the optional pinion, whilst the 3S Typhon is capable of 50 miles an hour out of the box with no additional pinions included. So those are the biggest differences between the two cars. You've also got an all-steel drivetrain going through the 6S Typhon and 3 oil-filled diffs, whilst here you have 2 oil-filled diffs, both front and rear, and then in the center you have a slipper clutch. So there is no diff in the middle of this one. So it is going to offer you a different driving experience. It's going to feel lighter. It's going to be really nimble, as was the 3S Senton. It felt very nimble, very agile vehicle. And I don't see, why both of these can't exist side by side. In fact, I can see a lot of people out there buying both of these. For those of you who are able to do so, and maybe daddy and the older kids will have this, and the younger kids will have this for them, because it's a little bit slower. You can run it on 2S. It's also a lot cheaper to run, given that you only need a 2S or a 3S to, enjoy this particular car, whilst here you're buying much bigger, much heavier batteries such as 4S or 6S, or you may choose to run 2.2S or 2.3S, of course. So those options are there. This is a little bit more heavy duty. It's capable of a little bit more, I think, as far as speed. There's a lot of options for these cars out there at the moment. There's a lot more tuning options for this as well. So you have adjustments on your shock towers and so forth, whilst here there's no real adjustment. You have beefier shocks and all of these components. So it translates to the money that you pay. That's why this one exists. For those of us who are a little bit on a budget, or you want to get this as a spare car for the kids, or whatever other little project you want to do, The 3S Typhon is here, and as I said, it is cheaper to run. So I think I'm going to leave this one here. I think I've compared as much between these two as I possibly can. If you happen to be on Facebook and you want to catch up on that live feed that I did where I compare both cars, feel free to check out the video description. There'll be a link in there to my Facebook page. Go give it a like. And then next time I'm live, you might be able to catch me and ask me some questions, and we can interact a little bit. It'll be kind of fun. I always have enjoyed my live feeds on Facebook. I interact with my audience a lot, and we always have a bit of a laugh. And there's a few regulars that jump on and crack some jokes. So it's always fun to do live feeds on Facebook, and I will continue to do those in the future. But for now, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you all very much for watching. As I said, don't forget to check out the video description for more information on both cars, links to my social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and of course Patreon if you want to jump on board and support the channel that way. But that is it from me. Thank you again for watching, and I'll be speaking to you all next time.